What's up, guys? Welcome back to your favorite channel. Like and subscribe or someone will use one of these crazy weapons on you. I think it's safe to say that prison is a pretty scary place. What's even scarier is how good some of the people in there are at making homemade weapons. Let's check out some of the most impressive weapons ever found inside a prison. I guess a lot of people in prison forgot about the whole "thou shalt not kill" part of the Bible. This inventive inmate decided the best place to hide a deadly weapon was inside of a crucifix he made in the woodshop. This is like something a bad guy would use in a horror movie, which makes sense inside a prison. I mean, getting locked up is basically like living your very own scary movie. The difference here is that the bad guys aren't just actors, they're actually bad guys. You think that building a bomb while you're locked up would be pretty tough. Not for this guy. Donald Henry Gaskins was a serial killer who was locked up for life. And after someone on the outside asked him to kill another inmate, they hatched the idea of building a bomb inside of a radio. This took a lot of time and effort, and unluckily for the dude he killed, Donald had a lot of time on his hands. After he went down, Gaskins was given the death penalty. You know you've got an evil dude on your hands when they can't stop killing even after you lock them up. This next dude decided to do his best Ninja Turtle impression after he managed to construct some nunchucks out of bed sheets and a broken chair.
Come on, race trader.
He actually managed to fight off over a dozen guards with his sick ninja skills and escaped from the prison. They should really stop showing Bruce Lee movies to the inmates. They get too many good ideas. He was caught just 2 days later, which is surprising considering his skill set. I thought he would have used a smoke bomb or something to get away again. They better be keeping a close eye on this guy. Otherwise, the next time he comes out of his cell, he might have throwing stars and a katana. Turns out that giving you cavities isn't the worst thing that candy can do. This genius psychopath melted a bunch of Jolly Ranchers together to make the world's sweetest knife. This is taking the phrase "sweet revenge" a little too literally. The good news is that once you stab somebody with this thing, you have a little snack to make up for all the hard work you just did stabbing someone. That's called thinking ahead. I guess the bad news is that your candy tastes like blood. Actually, I'm getting the idea that might not be a problem for this guy. When I think of spears, I think about cavemen hunting woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers, not violent inmates stabbing guards. Turns out that all you need to make an improvised spear in prison is some newspapers, clothes, and something sharp to poke people with. And when I say poke, I really mean stab someone through the heart. That's what 3 inmates did to a guard in 1985. 2 of them got off light with a life sentence, while the 3rd was put to death. These dudes might have just been born in the wrong era. If they lived back when humans still wore loincloths instead of pants, they probably would have been alright. Nothing like a good water balloon fight to celebrate summer, right? You might get a different answer if you asked one of the inmates who have been smashed with a 50-pound water bomb dropped on their heads. One guy got sent to the hospital with serious injuries after this happened to him in 2011. This feels like something out of a cartoon, but it can actually be deadly. Too bad only the guards get to wear helmets. It's probably a good idea to keep your head on a swivel in prison anyway. You never know where someone with a ridiculous weapon is hiding.
Why are you screaming like a goddamn little girl?
This isn't something I thought I'd see today. A deadly weapon made out of nothing but toilet paper. What's great about this weapon is that once you're done stabbing your target, you can unravel it and wrap them up like a mummy. Then when the guards come by, just say you're celebrating Halloween early. Okay, I probably shouldn't be giving anyone ideas. Just saying though, you could also just flush the evidence afterwards if you wanted. Okay, this one can't actually do any damage, but it definitely looks like the real thing. This inmate used painted cardboard to create a super convincing replica of a pistol. Luckily, it was found by the guards before it could be used to start taking hostages. Arts and crafts are great and all, but this is taking it a step too far. More like 10 steps too far, actually. Honestly, I don't think it even needed to look as real as it does. If you point an empty water gun at me, I'll give you my wallet just to be safe. Shouldn't have let that information slip, should I? More candy? You're dang right, more candy. Ready for a science lesson? When sugar gets heated up, it becomes super sticky. That means if you heat up a chocolate bar and throw it on someone's face, they can't get the burning candy off. Then their skin melts off under a creamy layer of chocolate and caramel. Who would have thought that candy could be so horrifying? Leave it to violent prisoners to turn even sweets into a weapon. Valentine's Day must be terrifying when you're in prison. I bet it's like one big Molotov cocktail fight with heart-shaped chocolates. Okay, this one isn't technically a weapon, but it could be used as one in a pinch. 2 German prisoners spent months designing and building this tool to let them scale the walls of the prison and reach freedom. Turns out that they actually succeeded with it too. I thought grappling hooks were something you'd only find in a comic book. Maybe these guys were inspired by Batman. Oh no, the people we thought were heroes are actually teaching criminals useful tricks. This is bad. The next thing you know, some prisoners are gonna build their own Batmobile and blast right through the prison walls. This thing looks like a meth head's ceremonial dagger. A wicked glass blade that has been reinforced with wire and a duct tape handle. Glass actually makes a pretty good weapon too. It's hard and sharp enough to be used several times without breaking. Hopefully this one didn't get used at all because it looks like it could do some serious damage. I've got a good idea. I say that all prison arguments should be settled with a good old-fashioned pillow fight. And no, you're not allowed to fill up your pillow with razor blades and rocks. This thing is terrifying! Using a wooden handle, a shoelace, and a bunch of razors, this dude made a weapon that looks straight up medieval. Whips are known as one of the most painful weapons ever invented, but this psycho cranked the insanity knob up to 11 and then ripped it off. At least it was found before he could turn his cell block into a bloodbath. This guy was also addicted to meth, so it would have been tough to stop him if he got a chance to go rampaging around. Obey the laws, guys, otherwise you might end up rooming with a maniac like this dude. Getting a pistol shoved in your face is bad, but having someone hop out with a machine gun like their Scarface is downright terrifying.
Say hello to my little friend!
An inmate in Germany was planning on using this to escape, but guards were tipped off before he could put his plan into action. Waving around a machine gun like you're in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie is definitely a good way to cause a ruckus. It's also a good way to get shot by the cops. But I guess you've got to measure the risk versus the reward. I'm just glad this was resolved peacefully. They should really keep this guy away from any scrapbooking supplies. Fake guns can be scary depending on the situation, but real guns are a problem no matter what the circumstances are. These dudes managed to make a fully working pistol that used match heads to fire little pieces of metal out. Letting violent criminals work with metal seems like a bad idea to me. I think you should only let these guys work with soft stuff like marshmallows and pillows. You know what, they'd probably find a way to make deadly weapons out of those too. Moral of the story is that if you want to hurt someone, you'll make do with what you have at your disposal. This thing is really an impressive feat of engineering. Made from tape, broken bedposts, and a bunch of other stuff, this shotgun is as scary as it is smart. Two dudes spent a long time constructing this thing, and they used it to kidnap a guard and escape the prison. As far as we know, these guys were never caught either. That means we might have two super smart guys who know how to make weapons just out strolling around. I'm definitely gonna be a little bit more paranoid from now on. This is why you can't trust smart people. They have more ways to hurt you than a dumb guy. Every scientist has the capability to turn into a supervillain at any moment. So I learned something new today. Powdered coffee creamer is super flammable. Of course, prisoners figured this out and started burning their enemies alive with crude versions of this scary weapon. Most prisons have now stopped carrying powdered creamer. I'm assuming it's because they were tired of the cell block smelling like barbecue all of the time. You might think that making a gun is more difficult than a crossbow, but that's definitely not true. This thing has so many pieces, it's like the world's deadliest Lego set. Although this wouldn't hurt as bad if you stepped on it barefoot. Thank God these prisoners don't have access to Legos. It would be game over for the guards. Anyways, this evil genius managed to design this thing so it could shoot deadly arrows up to 40 feet. Once again, we have someone just born in the wrong era. This dude would have been great at defending a castle from invading armies. If this dude gets out and they reboot Game of Thrones, they should definitely cast him. I think he could bring a real sense of danger to the show. Just be sure you don't put a real crossbow in his hands.